when I got your lights.
What's going on YouTube? It's Sev. Today we're going to be talking about Gachiakuta and why I think it's going to be one of the best new gen shonen animes. Gachiakuta is a manga written by Kei Urana, who once used to be an assistant under Atsushi Okubo. For those of you who aren't familiar with Okubo's work, he wrote both Soul Eater and also Fire Force. Now that you know a little bit about the mangaka, let's talk about why I think Gachiakuta is going to be one of the best new gen shonen animes, especially with an absolute stacked announcement list that we've gotten recently. I mean, we've got Sakamoto Days, we've got Dantaran, like there's some massive animes coming soon from shonen. With all that being said, most of you guys are probably like, okay Sev, what the fuck even is Gachiakuta anyway? I'm gonna go to the website that they just dropped for the anime release, and I'm just gonna read you the synopsis. I'll put it up on screen as well. Rudo lives in the slums of a floating town where the poor scrape by under the shadow of the rich who live a sumptuous life, simply casting their garbage off at the side into the abyss. Then one day he's falsely accused of murder, and his wrongful conviction leads to an unimaginable punishment: exile off of the edge with the rest of the trash. Down on the surface, the cast-off waste of humanity has bred vicious monsters, and if Rudo wants to have any hope of discovering the truth and seeking vengeance against those who cast him into hell, he'll have to master a new power and join a group known as the Cleaners, who battle the hulking trash beasts of the pit. Gachiakuta, in my opinion, has one of the highest, if not the highest, ceiling out of all the new shonens, especially when you consider everything it has going for it. It's got a very unique, interesting world. The art style that Urana brings to the table is breathtaking. You can really see the influence that Okubo had on the way that she draws, but you can also tell that it's her own in the same way. And the graffiti by Ando, the character designs, the plot, just everything about this manga screams S tier anime to me. The power system's also super unique. I don't see how this could fail, especially when it's being picked up by Studio Bones. The Studio Bones. You heard me right. We recently got a little trailer. It's not anything crazy, but I'll put this on screen right now so you guys can get a little bit of a better idea as to what we're working with here. You can't watch that and not get excited. The visuals are insane, and even just those two little teasers we got with Studio Bones of the actual animated landscape is fucking gorgeous. Oh my god. And like that coupled with how fucking good the story is, like I don't see how this anime could flop. And I don't want to jinx it. Let me knock on wood, you know what I mean? But oh my god, I'm so hyped. If you want to avoid spoilers, here's your spoiler warning, because I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on Gachiakuta, what it's about, the power system, the world building, and all that fun shit. So like the website said, Rudo lives in this like floating town. It's almost like an island, and there's quite clearly a divide between rich and poor. Like you can see it. It's split down the middle of that motherfucker. Like you can't miss it, right? And you can kind of tell off rip that it's your typical classist system where the rich oppress the poor. In Gachiakuta's case, everybody who lives in the slums is a descendant of criminals, so that they're basically Australia, right? And Rudo's father was a murderer, and he was exiled off the edge, and his adoptive father raised him to be kind and like gave him these gloves, and he used to always tell him the story about how if you treasured an object and you gave it your love and you took care of it, eventually it would gain a soul. I know that sounds like a crazy, story you just tell a kid to make them feel better, but for some reason that always stuck with me, and I knew it would come into play later, and it absolutely fucking did. So Rudo walks in, his adoptive father's dead on the floor, like dying, sword through chest. It ain't pretty, right? And the cops come in, they're like, oh shit, you're a murderer. They drop his ass off the edge, right? On his way down, he sees this like crazy looking creature, which we'll get into a little bit later. And there's just a Wall-E level of trash surrounding him when he lands down at the bottom. Like he's on Earth, like he's back on solid ground. He's no longer on this floating island. And there are these trash beasts. They're like monsters made of humanity's cast off waste. And some guy, his name's Engine, pulls up in a fucking gas mask with an umbrella and saves his ass, right? And that's when you learn about the cleaners. They fight these trash beasts. They try to protect the people of the ground, and they use these things called jinki to do that. My understanding is that jinki are created when you put a bunch of love and care into an object, and over time that object gains a soul. Just like how you used to tell Rudy when he was a kid. And the variation of jinki that we see in the cleaners alone is insane. Like someone has glasses that she can view someone's soul and their true intent and nature, and someone's got a regular ass stick that turns into a staff. Someone's got a spool of yarn that turns into this massive, humongous like club thing that he can spin and use the rope to trap people. Engine's got his umbrella drill shield sword thing. Like the amount of unique weapons you see in this manga is mind-blowing. And on top of that, the plot is phenomenal. I mean, you have these cleaners, right? They're trying to protect the pit. And then you have the raiders who are trying to destroy the sphere. And those are the two main driving forces that you see throughout the manga, is raiders versus cleaners. You know, what is the sphere? What's actually going on? What is the Watchmen? What's the Watchmen series? There's so much that goes into this manga that I think is criminally underrated. So Rudo's gloves allow him to pick up any object and turn it into a weapon, essentially like a temporary jinki. And over time, we come to learn that the leader of the raiders, his jacket has the same symbol on it that Rudo's gloves have. That same symbol's used to depict one of Rudo's ancestors, who was one of the original friends of the person who founded Graffiti Town. And for some reason, every new leader of Graffiti Town paints a mural to like as their orientation, like their inauguration. But it always seems to be a depiction of the Watchmen. And if that's the Watchmen, like the Watchmen series, and Rudo's somehow connected to the Watchmen series, that would mean that he's connected to the first ever jinki user, in theory. And if that's the case, how did his adoptive father get those gloves on the sphere? Because not a lot of people survived that. I mean, Rudo's the only one in recent history we know of that has survived traveling from the sphere to the pit, along with those masked men who killed his adoptive father. It's just, everything grabs you. You know, this manga really pulls you in and makes you think, and the fights are insane. The amount of movement and dynamic angles that Urana can put into her drawings is fucking insane. And I think that it'll be even crazier if Studio Bones does it justice, which in my opinion I think that they will. But that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you think that Gachiakuta has the potential to be the next best new gen shonen, or if you're more excited for Sakamoto Days or Dantaran. Like, comment, subscribe. You already know the vibes, like all that good shit. With that, I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Deuce.